Today we have two cases on the docket. The first case is the case involving a falling tree. Two neighbors, Mr. Newman and Miss Katrina, have not had a very neighborly relationship according to the papers that I have in front of me. They share a driveway and they've had some issues which I'm going to ask them about. And what we're here about today apparently is approximately $850. And I think the testimony is going to show that a tree from Mr. Newman's yard has fallen onto Miss Katrina's property. And the question is, who's going to pay or who will pay the $850 to have it removed? So with that being said, the witnesses are sworn in and we're ready to hear the case. So let me start with you. You brought this lawsuit. You're the plaintiff. You're seeking something from the defendant. What are you actually asking for?
I'm seeking damages for $850 for a tree that Mr. Newman's tree fell on my property, and I had to pay to get it cleaned up. This is a property that I keep well groomed. I garden, I make sure everything is picked up. It's a beautiful home. It was my family's homestead.
So let's not start nagging now already.
All right, let me talk to her. So tell me a little bit, like how long have you been in that property?
I've been there since I was born in that house.
Has Mr. Newman, have you Mr. Newman?
Sorry, sir.
Have you resided there very long?
No, about a year now. I bought the house. It was a great deal, and I moved to the valley about a year ago.
Okay.
And he's been a pest ever since.
All right. Everybody talk to me. Just describe the house, the driveway,
It's a nice big yard. It's great to sit outside.
I think he was talking to me.
I was talking to her, and then I'll come back to you.
I have a picture actually of the house. It's an old farmhouse I brought with me with the tree that's laying on it. It's an old homestead. It was built in the 1800s.
Okay,
I can see the house. My grandmother lived there. My parents lived there. I now live there.
Well, is that picture fair and accurate representation of the house and that huge
correct.
Tree? And it's safe to assume that that tree was not always in that position?
No.
All right.
It was straight up all the time until Mr. Newman moved into that piece of property.
And you've had other problems with Mr. Newman that are not before us today, but I need to know the background.
Several.
Tell me one or two.
He'll go in a snowplow. When he snowplows, he'll plow everything on my car that I can't get out. I have a little Volkswagen. He has a redneck truck that is parked in my way. It parks me in. I have to go over, ask him to move it. You know, my cat goes out. He complains about my cat, but it's okay that he has chipmunks.
He snoops around my house all the time. My birds ain't there no more.
Mr. Newman, I'll be with you in one moment, please.
But it's okay that he feeds.
If that's alcohol you're drinking, we don't drink in the courtroom.
Sorry, Judge.
But he feeds like the birds and the chipmunks and the squirrels. They all come over and they eat.
Wait,
but when
Mr. Newman feeds them?
Yes, he feeds them
I love
constantly.
birds.
Okay.
So there's a lot of dirt around. His mail is always blown all over the place, the junk mail, his newspaper, and I'm always going out and cleaning up after him. I feel like I'm the mother of this old man.
My NASCAR magazines are not.
Mr. Newman, let's just start with some of the things she said. You like squirrels, chipmunks?
Yes, I very much like birds, but every time her cat snoops around, my birds are gone. Everything goes. It is
you don't
feces.
Like your cat?
No, there's feces all over. She has several of them.
How can you see it with all the leaves laying around?
Okay,
you won't even pick
the
up
leaves blow over on your lawn. You think it was the end of the world?
Everybody talk to me. So, all right, so leaves go over. She has no trees from what I understand on her property except the one that was on yours at one point.
Yeah, but they keep. I can't control the wind.
Tell me a little bit about how you take care of your property.
I mow my grass, I plow the snow, and
No,
I even help
doesn't.
her.
No, he doesn't.
I don't need to plow it down as far as every time because I have a four-wheel drive pickup.
Okay, but describe the driveway. Do you each have your own, or is it
It's
shared?
a common driveway that comes up through, and I'd be more than happy to help her, but she nags and nags, and she's nosy. She's always watching who's over. I can't listen to my music. My music is playing. I can't hear my Toby Keith.
That's because you have the redneck music on. I
hold
at
on
least
a
have
minute.
classical.
Classic. What do you call classic?
Please.
Soothing.
Please.
Stop nagging.
What's she doing that you can't hear your music?
It's so loud. It's like an opera.
Her music.
Yes.
It's classical music, Judge.
Okay, but Do you play it loud that he can't
No.
hear his own music?
No.
Okay. What are you
Would you
eating, Mr. Newman?
I have a pinch of
A pinch of what?
tobacco.
Not in the courtroom.
I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Now, let's go back to this tree. How long has this tree been on? How long have you lived there again?
I lived there about a year.
Okay.
And that tree's been there ever since it was put there, and God
Well,
take it away.
You didn't put it there.
No.
All right. So, in the yard, describe your yard a little bit.
My yard is about an acre. I don't cut my grass every week, but I cut
He
my
doesn't
grass.
take care of it.
Stop nagging. You're just
Okay, hold
complaining.
on.
Please, Judge, I'd like to talk.
Okay, well, just hold on. Let me talk to him for a moment.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead.
I-
Take care of your yard.
I take care of the yard. I like
You
to
mow
sit
the
outside.
grass?
I like to have a couple beers. It's so beautiful sitting outside, but like I said,
What do you do with the beer cans?
we put them on the porch and we pick them up at the end of the week and we crush them and we take them to the junkyard.
Okay, so I understand you may have a soda machine out on your back porch, or a beer machine
Well,
or
it's
something.
a beer meister.
Like a cooler.
In a cooler, we keep the cans in and so forth. And she's welcome to come over and have a beer anytime
Well,
she's in
that's
the
No,
fine.
thank you.
Okay, what I want to know a little bit more about now, I needed to have a little background and.
You can't be girly all the
All right.
time, girly girl.
All right, talk to me, please. Now, what I need to know is, describe this tree. I need to know about this tree.
This tree's about 30 feet tall, 25, 30 feet tall. It's been there probably 100 years. We had a terrible wind. I love rain and hail. We had a great storm one night. And she come knocking on my door yelling at me like it was my fault. I didn't even have my beer and shot in the morning.
Tell me a little bit about the storm.
Well, it was a tremendous wind, hail.
Where do you live, in another country?
Come out of the west.
Well, what happened after? Is this when the tree? How did the tree end up in her yard? Do you know?
I don't know. I woke up in the middle of the night. I heard the wind, the rain, and the next morning she comes knocking at my door, yelling at me, and screaming at me. It was like I didn't even have a beer yet, and she's yelling at me.
I asked him very politely to please come out and cut up the tree, haul
Politely?
it away so that it could be nice and neat. I love a nice garden.
Okay, now the tree. Let's go back to the tree. You agree with him? There was wind, rain, hail,
There was no hail, but there was a lot of wind and rain, yes.
and is that when you heard the noise with the tree crash?
Yes.
What did you do next?
Well, I looked out my window because I thought something fell on my house because my window shook. So I looked outside. I couldn't see anything from my bedroom window. So I waited till the next morning. I get up at 5 a.m. I have my cup of coffee. I read my
5 a.m.?
paper. I feed my kittens
That music's
and my
on early.
cats.
Okay, hold on, please, Mr.
And then I went outside to find out what happened last night. And when I went outside, I saw this tree. I politely went over to his house. I knocked on the door. He wouldn't answer.
Was this at 5 a.m. you knocked on his door?
No, I waited a little. I read the newspaper. I had my cup of coffee. Then I went over to his house. I rapped at the door. He wouldn't answer.
You were probably just going to bed about 5, weren't you? Yeah.
I didn't have my beer yet.
All
Well,
right, so,
then I went back over at 11, which should be an appropriate time.
11?
I knocked on the door again. He refused to answer the door. I went home. I called him. He wouldn't answer my phone calls. He avoids me like the plague.
did you ever clean up the tree yourself?
No, he did
I'm
not.
not going to clean up the tree. It had nothing to do with me.
I-
Not my fault. Tree fell over. I'm not paying for it.
I have a
period.
bill from-
Let her insurance take care of it.
I have a bill from the Squirrely Tree Service, and they came and cleaned up the tree for me.
Then
I
hold it
paid
this way
them.
so I could
What
see
was
it.
the name of the
Okay.
company?
Well, all right. Can
You know, Judge, I even gave up saying howdy to her. She doesn't pay attention to me. She just has this mean-looking face on. She never answers me. I mean, in order to get a company named Squirrely, you must be nuts.
You two are an amazing example of two neighbors. It's almost funny, except that it's sad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this all under consideration, your testimony, and then I'm going to make a decision on this case. And
Well, he
I
should be
hope that
held
you both-
accountable for it.
Well,
It's his tree.
somebody's going to be held accountable, and I'm going to review what the law is, and I hope that you two, it doesn't look like you're going to get along any better, and I'll probably keep my docket open because you both will be back. We'll stand in recess for 5 minutes. Okay, we are back in court. I've reviewed the law, and You can't just have trees falling from your property over onto somebody else's. I mean, you had your property, you had a tree fall onto it, and you had to pay $850. However, under the law, what I've heard today was this was based on a storm, and it was called an act of God. And under the law, whether I like it or not, an act of God means that the property owner whose tree falls does not have to pay. The property owner who owns the land where the tree fell will have to pay. Therefore, you have sued the defendant, and I rule in favor of the defendant. Case dismissed. Second case on the docket is a case about alleged gang membership. The plaintiff is seeking a court order and injunction from the defendant, removing the defendant from the college volleyball team. The plaintiff will claim that as the new athletic director of the college, it is his responsibility to ensure that athletes are good role models and do not engage in illegal activities. It is expected that the plaintiff will testify that the defendant has been in the gang since high school and has flashed a gang sign after a volleyball win. He will say that gang members have no place in college sports. The defendant is expected to testify that the plaintiff has a personal vendetta against him, that plaintiff was 2 years ahead of him at the same high school, and that plaintiff was jealous of defendant's popularity at school. And the defendant will also claim that his current girlfriend left the plaintiff for him, and that's why this fictional gang story has been concocted. It is expected the defendant will deny all gang activity. Now, I'd like to hear from the parties. They are both sworn in, and I'm going to call on the plaintiff. Glenn, tell me a little bit about this. First of all, what is your current position?
Thank you for having me, Judge. I'm an athletic director at a prestigious university, and don't let this young man's blazer and bow tie fool you. He's a member of a ruthless gang, obsessed, and that will do anything it takes to get an A. I was personally a victim of bullying when I was in high school, and it's been my life's mission since then to identify and prevent bullying and all gang activity.
Well, let me interrupt you. When you say you were a victim of bullying, you're not claiming that this defendant was the bully in that case?
No, I'm not.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I never did.
Okay, go ahead.
It's my turn to talk, thank you.
Talk to me, guys. Okay.
Sorry, Judge. As I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, he's a member of a gang, the Smart Boys Club, who would do any and all means necessary to get A's in school. I've personally heard stories of their members breaking into professors' homes, stealing exams, passing them around, all just to get an A.
Okay.
Judge, this is a complete farce.
Do you know the plaintiff, though?
Yeah, we went to high school together, and now
Unfortunately.
we went to high school together, and now he is our athletic director. And he was what some people would call a loser in high school. He was always getting picked on, and I was smart, popular, and athletic.
Judge, what does me being a loser in high school to do with this?
Let me ask you this. The volleyball team, tell me a little bit about it.
Well, our volleyball team, thanks to my leadership as athletic director, has had very successful seasons, including this year. After a big win, while everyone was celebrating, congratulating one another, I saw the defendant here flash an A sign known to be the hallmark of the Smart Boys Club gang.
Did you flash a gang sign?
No, I never have, I never will. I'm not a member of any gang. I have severe and chronic dry hands, Judge. And
what's that got to do with anything?
I was putting lotion on my hands when this picture was taken at the...
Where's your lotion now if you have these dry hands?
I carry it on me all the time, Glenn.
How convenient.
And I don't like to get it on my palms, so I use my finger to spread it around.
All right, you're claiming that they're a secret society of sorts?
I am a secret society of very ill repute. They, as I said, they get together. They identify by their preppy dress, as you can see here with this unfortunate outfit. They always get straight A's. They walk around. They only identify each other by saying "Hey," no other greetings, which is a pretty telltale sign.
So far, getting straight A's is not a crime.
It's not just yes, they get A's, which is very commendable. It's a great thing to do, but it's the way they go about the A's.
Studying.
Hold on a minute. And dressing neatly is not a crime.
No, it certainly is not, but when a group of individuals all dress the same way, always greet each other with the same way, and they're known from stories I've heard and from things people have witnessed to go through very behind the back ways of getting their A's, whether it be cheating, copying, plagiarism.
Well, let me ask him something. So you put lotion on this way? Is that how you put lotion on?
With my finger, yes.
Because I did see a picture, which somehow is not in the courtroom at the moment, where there was someone, but the head was not in the picture, who had this kind of a symbol.
Sure.
Are you familiar with this as any kind of gang symbol?
From what Glenn is saying, it seems like that's a gang symbol. But
You know it's a gang symbol. Come on.
Hold
No,
on,
what are you
hold on,
talking
guys.
about?
Let me ask you, have you ever heard of anything called the Smart Boys Club?
I've heard of them, but
He's in
I'm
it.
not a member of them. I don't know anybody that's a member of them. He's had this campaign against gangs since he was in high school.
Well, what do you know about, tell me what you know about the Smart Boys Club.
From what I understand, they're
Is it commendable to seek A's in school?
I don't see anything wrong with seeking A's in school. I have a
If you're
scholarship,
studying and not cheating,
and I study my tail off, Glenn.
sure you do.
All right, talk to me, guys. Tell me some more about yourself.
Well,
when you were in high school,
I
did you
was-
belong to any type of fraternal organization?
No, I played volleyball and I stuck with sports. But right now, I work at a restaurant called The Breakfast Club. And it's an 80s style restaurant. We have to dress in, blazers and collared shirts. I'm the maitre d', so I have to look
It sounds like
very
a front
nice.
for the Smart Boys Club, Judge, if you
Okay,
ask me.
hold on a minute.
Yeah, why don't you just
hold
be
on a
quiet?
minute. Tell me more about the restaurant. He's saying it may be a front for a gang activity.
Well, that's a completely ludicrous allegation.
Does anybody, who owns the restaurant? Any relatives or no?
No, I work there part-time because I have a scholarship, but I need spending money, and the scholarship doesn't cover all of my tuition, so I have to work part-time.
A typical scholarship will require a certain level of grades, correct?
It does, yes.
And you're saying that you're not earning those grades through the use of gangs.
Never. Since high school, since elementary school, I've had to work for everything that I've earned.
Have
And,
you two had this antagonistic relationship since high school?
Yes. He's always been trying to get at me. He was jealous, and let me just say, hell hath no fury like this guy right here, Scorned. He's always been tattling on me in school. I'm now dating his ex-girlfriend.
Hold on, guys. When you say tattling on you in school, that would assume you were doing something wrong?
Well, maybe I misspoke, but he's
Oh,
always been
misspoke.
trying to
Come
get
on,
me
Judge.
in trouble. He's been saying that I've been teasing him, and maybe I did, but
Thank you.
yeah, he's just been a complete pest, and he wants to get at me because I happen to be a cool kid in school, and he wasn't. And plus, recently, I started dating his ex-girlfriend.
Well, now you're a person of nonviolence, correct?
I consider myself a pacifist.
Okay, because
Yes, Judge.
I did read in the paperwork that you submitted. What is your hobby?
I shoot a crossbow in my spare time.
Doesn't sound so pacifist to me, Judge.
Well,
I don't shoot it at animals or anything. I target shoot.
Target shoot.
I've been
Okay.
doing it since I was a kid. My uncle got me into it, and I'm pretty good at it.
What's your specific concern if he were in a gang or a fraternity house and their goal was to get A's? Why would you want him off the volleyball team?
As an athletic director, it's my job and my responsibility to ensure the safety and well-being of the athletic department, the students, and the university itself.
But
And if he's
getting
in a gang
A's,
activity-
hold on.
The only
hold on,
reason-
Hold on. Getting A's, is that not a good role model?
It's a good role model if you're getting them legitimately and you're studying, but to cheat and to steal to get your A's, you're setting a terrible example. Obviously, with this crossbow, they're into some type of intimidation, and that puts everyone at risk. and
What
it's
gang
not a
members
safe-
ever used a crossbow?
I'm talking,
Glenn?
thank you.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. Finish with your thoughts on
this
why
cross-
you want him off the team.
I
That's
don't
what
want him to
need
be a
know.
bad influence for the rest of the volleyball team, the rest of the athletic department, and for the entire school. On the team, he represents our school. And if this were to ever get more public and find out that people of his ilk are cheating and stealing to get their grades, it's going to affect negatively the entire school and the athletic department, and that's unacceptable, Judge.
I assume this is a college sport that goes to other colleges.
It
It's
does.
not just intramural.
That's right. It
within
goes
the
to
one
other schools. It
college.
travels around the country. It's on television.
And I'm the
They're-
captain. And I don't
Not
think
for
they would
too
have
long,
elected
pal.
me the captain if I wasn't a good
How
influence.
did you get chosen captain? He obviously did not appoint
No,
you,
on the
I'm
merits.
assuming.
You cheat for that too?
From the other players on the team.
They elected you captain.
Yes.
Are there any other? Have you seen any other players on the team that would seem to be part
I've
of
heard
the so-called
stories
gang.
about other players on the team, and
Stories.
there are other players
All
on the
you've
team
heard
who
is
also
stories.
dress
Hold on.
in this manner, but I've only seen Daryl here make the A sign. But I would only assume that if they've chosen a person of this character as their captain, other members of the team are also in the Smart Boys Club.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this under advisement, and we're going to call a recess. I'm going to come back with a decision. Thank you both for cooperating, and I will come back with a decision. We are in recess. I've had the opportunity to review the testimony and the documents that you gave to me. And gang membership is a very serious matter, and it would be terrible, terrible role model, whatever kind of gang it is, if there's any advocacy of cheating, stealing, even if it's non-violent. So in this case, I have to say that unfortunately for you, you did not prove to me that he is a member of a gang. A lot of what you said was based on hearsay, which are out-of-court statements, which could be anybody. I understand as athletic director, you're doing the best job you can. But as far as this case is concerned, my ruling is in favor of the defendant.
Thank you, Judge.
This is District Justice Daniel O'Donnell, who gives us the courtesy of his courtroom, and he has a few questions to ask about the way the decisions were made in the last two cases. Judge O'Donnell?
Judge, both very interesting cases. I want to start with the tree case. In the tree case, did the fact that the neighbors did not get along affect your decision?
No, I had to go by the law, but what I did, Judge, was I wanted to know a little bit of the history between them to make sure that it was true that it happened by a storm and not for some other reason. So it gave me a little background about the case, but it really did not affect the law in this case.
Now, act of God was mentioned in that case. Can you explain act of God?
Yes, an act of God is something like a hurricane, force wind, something like that, that is not done by the people in the case. And it's something that happens by nature.
Can a known gang member be ejected from a school?
I think that the answer is yes, but again, it depends on the facts of the case. I think that if someone is involved, especially in a gang that deals in illegal activities, I think that absolutely a school could remove them from the athletic program. But it would have to, there'd have to be a factual basis.
And I do have one final question.
Yes.
If someone would like to see your show, where can they go to see that, or how can they find your show?
Well, first of all, we appreciate that you allow us to use your courtroom, because everything with this show is volunteer, and it's a public service by Samsung Productions on Channel 13, but it can be seen on the World Wide Web on the Samsung Productions site. In fact, if you do a search on Google or one of the search engines for Samsung Productions, it will come up and it's listed under shows. So I would like to thank you, Judge O'Donnell, and Samsung Productions for their assistance with this educational program.